We feel proud of the Inca Empire, of course, their teachings and all the strength of the civilization they built in Peru. We can't ignore that or forget it. Obviously, nothing can overshadow that. However, we also know what came later. The slave trade and the discovery of the Americas, which is what produced the consequences we see today. And much of what we do, what we eat, what we dance, and the music we listen to has African influence. June the 4th is the day Nicomedes Santa Cruz was born. For us, he is an important contemporary writer. And what is rather disappointing is that he is better known in Spain than in his own country. But he has left us a very important legacy, his poetry, written in decima verse, on day-to-day life, on the ordinary everyday experience of grandmothers, grandfathers, the family, the oral history that we tell each other about, passed on from grandparents to grandchildren. That's what he described in these decimas, and that is why we consider Nicomedes Santa Cruz an important, a great Peruvian writer, and why we chose the 4th of June as the Afro-Peruvian Culture Day, as a tribute to him. Afro-descendants like Jose Risco and I fought really hard in Congress that day, and we made them understand that my great-great-great-grandfather didn't come to Peru voluntarily. And so we won an almost unanimous vote. It wasn't simple at first, because they started saying that if there was going to be an Afro-Peruvian Culture Day, then we'd have to celebrate a Japanese Culture Day, or an Italian Day, or a day for all the various cultures here in Peru. But we were able to make Congress understand that people from these other cultures came voluntarily, and that our ancestors, throughout the history of Afro-Peruvians, came here because they were forced to come. They were uprooted from their lands. Their language was taken from them. Their families broken up. They were made to live in very difficult circumstances, in subhuman conditions, very different from those of an Italian or any other foreigner who, for economic reasons or other problems, migrated here, and are certainly welcome here, but they came because they chose to. People here will say that we are all a mixture. This is a melting pot of Andeans and Spanish and so on, but that isn't how it happens. If there's been a robbery, an assault, murder, rape, if people don't know who did it, they always think it was probably someone of African descent. People often link Afro women to what is considered hard porn or prostitution. In stereotypes, people in advertising never consider casting someone of Afro descent as a doctor, because that's a white person's profession. Afro-Peruvians are only cast in roles like hotel doormen or street vendors. This is a very strong stereotype. But, for example, not long ago we waged a campaign against that. The Telefonica telephone company put a cover on its directory showing an Afro-Peruvian as a bellboy and the rest in other professions. We wrote a letter of protest and suggested that the stereotype be changed, that someone else be portrayed as a bellboy, and the Afro-Peruvian in the white coat of a doctor. Well, Telefonica understood they couldn't use this stereotype, and they withdrew the cover.